I feel like if we as children can just adult children can tell our parents, please shut the fuck up when you talk when you're saying things like that. I think we can. I think we
have a better relationship.
Yes. Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Buffet Podcast, brought to you by your host, your boy Brandon. Joined, as usual, by the beautiful Ciandra.
Good, babe. I feel like this was a recent episode where you told me to stop throwing up the signs.
Yeah.
I did it just real quick and I caught myself. So I stopped. Bro.
She's trying to get us touched out here.
I don't want to be touched.
Throwing up signs that she has no affiliations with.
Don't.
Yeah, so welcome back to another episode. Like I said before, episode 102. And let's go ahead and get this started. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. As y'all know, we are on a quest for our first hundo. You know what I'm saying? We almost there. Something about, well, I can't remember. We're like 87, 88, something like that. Somewhere in our part.
Close.
You getting up there? You know what I'm saying? We trying to get to that first hundo. Please and thank you. So go ahead, hit that like and subscribe. Hit that bell too, so you can get notified of any drop our new episodes on the YouTubes. Also, YouTube drops on Wednesdays, in case y'all didn't know. And also, the audio that you're hearing, all my dulcet tones currently, we drop this on Mondays, as y'all may or may not already know, depending on when y'all listen to this. So there's that. we took a couple weeks off, just
life.
Yeah, life and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. We had visitors in town. People came to see us, spend some time with us.
We just wanted some time. It felt good.
Be tired, child.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm working, trying to get out here. Trying to dodge this heat. It's been hot. I don't know how y'all been living out here. According to what I read, it's 77 spots in the country. You know, what I'm saying, set to to meet or break their record high temperatures. We up here right now. It's a good.
The block is out.
It's hot.
It's
hot as hell. Hot as hell. It's hot as hell. All right. All right. So are we gonna try to go right into it?
Yeah, moose boosh me, baby.
All right.
Bing bong.
Once again, I have the power, but
he's taking his time. While Brandon is taking his time to do that, did you know that Brandon is a therapist? What? You didn't know? You haven't heard? Well, Brandon is a therapist. And he does great work in helping his clients achieve their goals and improve their mental health. You say you've never been able to find him? You don't know where to find him at? Oh, okay. I know exactly where to find him.
But you gotta be living in certain places. This ain't for everybody.
Is this my advertisement or yours?
It's brought to you by We Up Counseling Consulting.
Thank you.
Our first sponsored video. Keep going. Please.
Thank you. I was about to hit the 85 South part at the end where they do all the, disclosure parts that they have to do.
Oh, yeah.
Only available to DC and Texas residents at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. You got to get them you got to get somebody speaking real fast at the end.
Yeah. Exactly. Open to self-pay and insurance clients.
Certain insurance clients go to the website to figure out which ones.
The website can be found at We Up Counseling and Consulting.
No, that's We Up Counseling.
WeUpCounseling.com.
Hey.
Thank you. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
We are.
Amuse Bouche.
Here we go. Ooh.
The order in which you were born in your house tells you way more about the person than their zodiac sign. Like, for instance, I meet a girl. Instead of asking what's your zodiac sign, I'm asking her, are you the oldest daughter? Y'all already know. Firstborn daughters are the generals, bro. If she's the oldest daughter, you know you about to mess with the G. You about to mess with the brains of the house. You're about to mess with a soldier. You can't play around when it comes to the firstborn daughter. You could be messing with a girl that's the baby of the house. So she's spoiled. She wants attention. She don't like hearing no. Not because you're a Taurus. This works the same way in the inverse. He's the oldest son. Do you know he's protective, bro? Not, he's an Aries, so he's prone to be mad, but that boyish. Oh, so you're an only child? So that's probably why you don't know how to show love to it. Not because you're a Scorpio, but because you weren't around as many people growing up. Okay, that makes sense. You were born in a family with 10 people, so that's why you like to be social. Not because you're a Cancer, but because you grew up around a lot of children growing up. You're the only son of a single mother. That's why you're very determined and you don't trust people that well. makes sense. Not because you're an Aquarius, not because you're a Gemini. I may go through my trials and tribulations on a day-to-day basis, but at least I'm not one of those people that believe that the month you were born in affects your personality, bro. Next cool later, I'll make the rules.
Two things can be true at once, sweetie. To all my astro hoes out there, we know that man was capping. There is validity in astrology. So that's my first point. It's ancient, honey.
That's because it's old don't mean it's right.
That's true. The people who were old stopped learning however many years ago. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the people who were old believed it and people who are modern believe it and still use some of the same thoughts and principles to guide their behavior and or to have increased awareness and knowledge about themselves and some of their natural tendencies. Yeah.
The key word there is guide.
Guide.
So there's guiding, and then there's people who like, this is the Bible. It's like, oh, you are this? No. Throw the person away.
Those people don't understand how it is an entire landscape. It's not just one sign that contributes to who you are and how you show up in the world. You got your sun, you got your moon, you got your rising sign, you got the different houses. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on. And if you don't know all that's going on and you're just taking the surface level approach, then of course, 10 times out of 9, you're going to be wrong. Because
you say 10 times out of 9?
And did.
Wow. I like that.
You're going to be wrong because you only have a very small snapshot of who this person is. And that snapshot, it doesn't encompass the way that they would present themselves in different situations versus who they are like on the moon side. Like they're the darker side of them. They're the side that they hide from other people. So pshaw to that man.
Well, okay.
But
to his, pshaw to his point about astrology. Now let's address what he said, please.
Okay, now let's address what he said. I think there's a lot of validity to that. My homegirl Marguerite, I hope you don't mind me putting this out there, but Marguerite has dated baby sons, like the last son or the baby youngest of the family, the youngest. There we go. Bad experience. Guess who is used to being catered to? Guess who is used to being spoiled? Guess who is used to people adjusting to and adhering to their whims? The youngest son. I know somebody like that. He's my little brother. Okay. Like that person, because of the role that they play in their family, carries some of those same character traits and worldviews into their relationships and how they interact with other people. So there are times in which people who have the same birth order are a really great matchup and they work really well together. But I think more often than not, people who have the same birth order will clash in a lot of ways. Like oldest and oldest getting together in a relationship. I'm used to running the show. You're used to running the show. How we gonna have to figure out how to run the show together because that was a role that we had always played in our family.
That's kind of fucked up. Now I'm thinking about it. Wait, go ahead.
What?
No, I'm just. I was like, damn, why are the oldest children used to running shit? Like, you're at the end of the day, you're still the child. But I'm like, damn, that's just kind of the role that the oldest plays. And I don't know what it's like in other ethnicities, but I feel like that's the role it plays in the Black community. It's like you are like the vice captain parent, and it's like that's not why I should be here. I'm not supposed to be like a pseudo parent to anybody in this motherfucker. Like, damn, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you end up being a helper. You're supposed to help.
That's a nice way of saying it.
Lead, guide. You're supposed to lead by example. It's a lot of pressure that's put on the oldest child, but
a lot of pressure.
I feel like you end up being better for it if you can rise up to the pressure. There are oldest children who are fuck ups, so let's not act like those people don't exist. Them niggas crumble. Oh, excuse me.
Ooh. All right, there was a lot of curse words coming out of you. But I was like,
there are oldest children who do not rise to the occasion. And in those situations, the people who are younger can have the inverse, like can be like, okay, now I'm responsible for babysitting my older sibling, rescuing them from whatever shenanigans they get into. But I do think that there is an expectation that you're the oldest child. You should be setting the example, telling everybody else what to do.
You got to figure it out with no guidance and then succeed. And then like, if you don't, you failed versus like all of your younger siblings get to get your game coming up to say you put on, and then they get successful and then they get praised like, nigga, you got low key, you know what I'm saying? And you stole my whole fucking flow.
I thought you were gonna say that.
You stole my whole fucking flow.
Bar.
But I was like, there's definitely parts of what you say about the older sibling either not just being fuck ups, and there's also people who like failing succeed or succeed in failing or failing to succeed in the sense of like they're successful but they're miserable because like people had all these expectations of them and they met all those expectations, but just because they met the expectations doesn't mean this is something that they wanted to do. It's like, I'm doing this shit because like they expected me to do this shit. I had to do this shit.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I had to do it. I feel like I ain't had no other choice, and now they live in a life that they're like, damn, I don't know what it's like for me to live for me, to be able to do things for me, because I feel like I never felt like I had never had the choice. And, and that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but it can be rectified. Everything is temporary. And if you want to change something, you can change it. I think that to that point, I do think a big part of the experience of the oldest child is living your life for other people. Like living your life according to the expectations of your parents, living your life according to the responsibilities to your younger siblings. A lot of like, if I don't do this, everybody is going to be negatively impacted by my inability to complete a certain task, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of weight.
Like the weight of the family is low key on your shoulders.
You feel a lot of that. Go ahead.
I didn't want to cut you off. I'm trying to be better. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in how I'm used to communicating is you just jump in and then you just start talking. And I'm like, I'm trying to be better about cutting people off. And by people, I mean you. So, and
other people, babe. Yeah. There's a natural flow of conversation. You got to wait for somebody to take a full breath.
Yeah, but like, I care more about you right now. So you're my motivation. They gonna get they get the benefit from that. Yeah. I ain't doing it for them.
I appreciate you, but I was finished. So go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, he lost it. Bring it back.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that there's also the older siblings who did that and then like kind of wake up. You usually once they like go to college, when they go away for college, something like that, and they kind of maybe overcompensate a little bit in the sense of just like, okay, I'm just going to like separate myself from like this situation. Like I go away and they rarely come back. That's it. I'm remembering, I think it was a story that somebody from Cruise Season was talking about. Maybe it was OT or something like that. It was like, yeah, like it was the first time that you're able to make decisions and it only affects you. It's the first time where like, oh, I can stay out, I can go to this party. I don't have to worry about getting home or waking up little brother, little sister. Oh, I can do this thing. I can do this thing just because I want to do it. Or I can be like, oh, I don't need, if I don't want to do it, I don't need to do this thing. And if it comes with a negative consequence, it's not going to affect anybody but me. And it's like, that's kind of freeing and recognizing that and not wanting to go back to a world where like, that's not the case. So, but I also think it's you got to find like the balance, recognize like, okay, cool. Like you have agency and definitely exercise it to however you want. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut off like your life, so to speak.
Yeah.
From that. Yeah. So it's, the older sibling can go many a different way. And again, and then also with the younger sibling is not guaranteed to be successful. Like you said, they spoiled. Not used to saying no. It's the younger sibling who just be fucking up all the time, and then you just like laissez-faire walking through life, and then they just like they're not used to bearing the brunt of their own, like the consequences of their own actions, because people have always like bailed them out. The parents is always parents or siblings or what have you, and then they get older and they move out or do their own life, and then crash and burn. And then they wonder what the hell going on.
But they also are still looking for in adulthood that person who is going to be a guide for them.
That's true.
Or the person who is going to be their rescuer. Like, who is going to save me when I do something that is irresponsible? Well, my mom and dad can't do it anymore because I'm a grown up. Like, I don't want that to be the case. I don't think that's cool anymore. But my boyfriend or girlfriend can. I can act a fool and, she's babysitting me. I can drink tonight. I'm with her.
That's what women definitely do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't think that's more of it like a younger sibling, being a younger sibling, the whole drinking part on the woman's side. I think that's more just like a safety. And I feel safe. So I feel like I can go ahead and like kind of, let loose a little bit because I got my man, that type of thing.
I was saying the reverse.
Oh, okay. I mean,
but yes, it works both. I do think that it works both ways. Men do feel like they can cut up a little bit more because their woman is there, or like in the sense of like, I don't have to worry about how I'm going to get home. She's going to be. That's not your experience.
That's what I'm saying. I was just about to say. I'm saying like, yeah, that's absolutely not my experience. But like you said, I definitely. I mean, if you say it's out there, I don't doubt that it's out there. There's a lot of ancient ass dudes out here, and that's my fault. Let me walk that back. That doesn't mean that you're an ancient ass dude. That just means that perhaps you're just a little irresponsible when it comes to those type of things, and you've never been corrected, I guess.
If you're in the example that we're talking about, someone who is the youngest son, responsibility isn't a natural. You're not naturally drawn to responsibility. You're used to other people being responsible for you. And the point that I was making is that the role often that you play in your family is the same role that you will bring to your relationship. So if I'm not used to being responsible for myself, someone is usually there to rescue me from my own bad behavior or whatever I'm doing. I don't have to be the responsible one. You're going to be the responsible one. And drinking is just an example of that. Like, I'm not going to be the designated driver. You here.
That's wild, but yeah.
So that's just what I'm saying about that. So I think that there's a lot of truth to it. The point that I was trying to make earlier was that I don't think two people of the same birth order make for a good couple in a lot of instances, just because of the tension that can exist. Like you have two people who are more inclined to be irresponsible and desire a lot of attention.
Yeah.
How that work?
Yes, you're right. And the examples that he used in the video with the older sibling and the younger sibling, they were, like you said, I think you might have mentioned they usually will be drawn to each other.
Yeah, I think so.
One is used to taking care of people, so they will be naturally drawn to people who needs to be taken care of, and for people who are used to getting taken care of will be drawn to people who look like they want to take care of people, and then they probably get frustrated about that.
Yeah. So I'm curious what you think that means for us, because I feel like I'm half oldest sibling because I do have two younger brothers, but also I spent a good portion of my life as the only child. So I feel like I'm a hybrid birth order kind of person, because there was a lot of time that I spent by myself. And I think what he said about only children is like, that's why you don't know how to love very well, or like you're not very warm and affectionate because you spent a lot of time by yourself. Versus you, how would you describe your birth order?
I was gonna say I'm like also a type of a hybrid, because like I'm the middle child technically, but because of older sibling fuckery, I was pretty much treated as like the oldest, so like the expectations and stuff was on me. So somewhere in between that. So I don't have all of the middle child syndromes, but I do have a tendency to kind of like pacify a little bit, kind of just be like, I can see both sides. I'm very good at seeing both sides. But I'm also, growing up, I was always expected to like, just do well. And even now I'm constantly getting like my parents and also just constantly like telling me, we're so proud of you. You're successful, or you're doing this. I see, doing that and this, and I'm like, thank you. And, and I appreciate it. I really do. So like, it's always been there. Like there's always been pushing me to like do more, to try to do more. I should do this. I should do that. So I got to make sure I do well in school. I got to make sure I get me a good job, make sure I get paid well. If I'm already getting a job and get paid well, why don't you, have you considered doing this other thing? I'm like, shit. What more do you want from me? So I think I'm a little combination of that. And my earlier point about like, you can go, if you fall in that role, you may decide to like kind of pull back from those expectations, or from like the family because of those expectations. I think that's another one of those things, that I'm discovering about myself as well. It's like, I don't like people expecting me to do anything that I didn't sign up for. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I expect you to go. I'm like, I never said I want to do that shit. I never plan on like.
But I wonder if not being a full oldest means that you shirk some of that responsibility.
On who?
I'm not saying you shirk it onto anyone, but like the people that I know that are oldest children or are the oldest, that when that responsibility calls, they answer. It's not like I'm not going to do it or like I don't feel like it, I don't want to. Those people are usually like, I'm going to. I'll be there. Like you can depend on me to be there. And I think that, or I'm curious if being like the functioning oldest, but not necessarily being the oldest is a part of the reason why there's a little bit of disconnect between like that expected behavior and like your desire to do it.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Definitely perhaps. The way I say it was like, if I see that you have the full capability of doing it, like whatever expectation they have, usually it's always like the expectation of me doing some shit for other people. Like I know we've all had the situation where like your parents like volunteer your services to like a family member or some shit. I cut that shit out as soon as I like could like hold my own and be like and hold a no together. I'm like, I'm not going over to their house and doing X, Y, and Z. They got money. They can go pay for it or they can do it in there. So I'm not doing that shit. I'm like, hey, don't be volunteering my shit to nobody. Don't be saying Brandon gonna come by and nope. Off top, nope. And I hate that. I hate that so much. So have people having like a expectation of me to do some shit that I never said I was going to do, like telling me to do some shit rubs me the wrong way, irregardless of what it is.
Tell us how you really feel, babe.
Whew. Take a couple deep breaths. I'm just getting triggered, just going back in time. Like, if you don't ever in your life, I remember I was a kid. I had one of my friends come over the house. I think my grandma was there, and we was going to do something. They knew the plan. We was playing like, hey, such and such coming over. We were about to go do this thing, and right before we had to go, they say, hey, we need you to go in the back and like dig up some shit in the yard. Like we gave us the tools, and then they was outside just watching us. It was like outside Florida, was watching us. I was so, and not only that, they could pull my friend into it too. He was right next to me doing the shit. I'm like, yo, I was so mad, bro. I was like, yo, you making me look bad out here. You got my friends out here. You pulling them into manual labor and shit. And then they just looking at me like I should, like, how you better not have nothing to say. You better not, feel a type of way about this. And then I couldn't be mad, but the only way I could take it, I was mad, but I couldn't say nothing. So the way I took my anger was just like banging, like digging up faster and better. And she's like, yeah, that's the energy I need. Go ahead, keep going. It just made me angrier. And I know they did that shit on purpose. Man, I hate that. And I think that right there, I think that's one of the straws. Like, okay, all y'all going to a home.
Oh, babe.
I'm petty like that.
That's why you have a sister. She won't let that happen.
What happened? Oh, them going to home? Nah, they won't go. They won't do that.
No.
Thanks for going down memory lane with me, y'all.
I love when you tell a good story about the past. It's great. It's always so entertaining.
It's annoying as hell, boy. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of us have similar stories to that. Where were we?
I think we're done with this topic.
We're done with this topic?
We can move on if you have another.
All right, yeah.
Video.
So I definitely agree. The birth order definitely
makes a difference.
Absolutely. I got one more. I think this might be a pretty good one here.
These glasses are still frothy.
Frothy?
Yep. Like some milk. Like my latte.
Listen to something that's...
So here are the top 5 questions that men need to ask a woman before he commits. There are a lot of men out here making poor decisions on women. I'm here to help y'all to stop making those poor decisions. The first question should always be, who raised you? Quick shout out to the OG TK Kirkland. Was it a single parent home where your parents are guardians, abusers? Do you have an existing relationship with your mother and father? Do you know your father? If so, do you have any anger, hate, hurt, or hard feelings toward that man? I don't care who likes it or not, that truly does influence how a woman interacts with a man. Number 2, how do you handle your...
I feel like we should pause after each question.
Okay, that works.
I think this worked both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to bring that up.
there is a lot of
men out here.
Yes, a lot of parent or parental figure trauma that exists on both sides with both genders. And I don't know if it's enough just to ask, and maybe this question is coming. I don't know if it's enough just to ask who raised you. It's more about like who raised you. What things do you think that you took away from those people? Like, what influence do the people who raised you still have on you today?
Right.
Does that, the active relationship might be an indicator of the influence, but also like certain behaviors. Like, do you recognize in yourself some of the behaviors of the people who raised you? Do you like that? Do you dislike that? Like, are those things that you're actively working through? Are you aware of them? I think all of those things are questions that go underneath the question.
Yeah. That's actually, it's funny you say that. That's actually one of the questions I asked one of my clients last week. Like, you know, in what ways are you similar to insert like your parents, either one of them? And then I think the follow-up was like, is this intentional? Like, are you like, are these the ways in which you're similar, are you intentionally like perpetuating those things? And then the follow-up question is like, in what ways have you gone against or are trying to go against the any of those similarities that you have, or the things that you have similar? It was one like those shadow work questions I asked.
I like it. That's a very good question because one, I think that it is very easy for most of us to call out our parents' flaws, like behaviors that they have that we disagree with, that we don't like. And in calling that out, not recognizing that sometimes we do the exact same thing.
Yes.
Like, how do you think you spent at least 18 years around this person and didn't pick up any of their character traits?
That always hurts when you realize that.
Yes. And if they do it and it's a problem, usually the things about your parents that rub you the wrong way are the things that you do, like are the things that you do. So your awareness of it is a big part of that question. Not just like who raised you, but like your awareness to how the people who raised you influence your behavior, mindset, beliefs to this day. Because all of that stuff is a part of raising you. Like all of that is a part of it. Like, some of it is what you naturally have, like your general outlook on the world. Some of that you were born with, but a lot of it is nurture. And you got to tease out what's what.
Yep. And additionally, to the question of like who raised you, and the other question that kind of goes underneath that, I would, well, it's not really much of a question that you would ask. Is more of like an observation. Maybe you probably won't really be able to pick that up until like you've been dating for a little bit longer, when you start seeing the interactions with her and like her family and stuff like that. One of the things I've picked up or like learned was the relationship that she has with their mom, or just the family, and how involved they allow their family to be within your relationship. Like, do they talk about shit that y'all talk about in your relationship, and she just bring it, you know, like if I tell you something in confidence, are you telling mom, we're going through something within our relationship? Are you going to your mom because your mom's your best friend, and you telling her, and then she's out here and she's in your ear giving you information, things that you need, that she recommends you do, and then she's coming back to the relationship and acting those things out? Because I think we mentioned early, like during, I can't remember which episode, but probably several times, that our friends and our family, they have our best interests at heart, not necessarily our relationship. So like they're going to tell you some things that's going to benefit you. And because they want to make sure that you're good. They want to make sure you're not hurt, make sure all those things, which is great. But like sometimes it lacks like the context of the relationship. So like, and you doing that, it may hurt the relationship, which on the long run may end up hurting, you know, your loved one, that person that may be.
Yeah, that's a very good point, babe. Loose lips sink ships, sweetie.
So yeah, more of the story is be quiet.
Yeah, and snitches get stitches.
Yeah, whatever y'all be talking, what y'all be going through in y'all relationship, that's between you and your partner. Nobody else. And the reverse is also true. Like our parents need to stop telling us shit about what's going on in their relationship too. That's very
unless you're trying to teach me something. Unless there is a lesson there. Like, I think that it's okay to share what's going on in your relationship after it's been resolved.
Fair.
And a part of what you're sharing is the growth that occurred between you and the other person. Like, oh, we had this issue, we worked through it, and this is why we worked through it, or this is how we were able to work through it. I think that can be helpful on either side.
Agreed.
Like a parent sharing that with the kid and a kid sharing that with a parent could be helpful. Like, oh, maybe I'll try that approach next time. Or like, oh, I didn't know that even mattered.
This is a resource that you just got a resource, or that you might be able to, or a tool in your toolbox that you might be able to use at some point in the future. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was speaking more to like, don't be telling me things that my dad annoys you about. Like, I hate when you do. I'm like, please shut the fuck up and handle your own. Like, I don't. Why? What you want me to say to that? What you want me to do with that information?
Oh my goodness, Brandon.
I feel like if we as children can just adult children can tell our parents, please shut the fuck up when you talk when you saying things like that. I think we can. I think we have
a better relationship.
Yes, I think we need to it would have a better relationship between each other, and we need to we check everybody else about how they can talk to you, or the things that we talk to us about. Why can't we do that to our parents? Like I'm not saying that you got to be extra aggressive with it. Of course, I'm being a little facetious here, but even within our bosses, they can't just say whatever they want to. Like there's such a thing that is called managing up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They teach you how to be they manage you or what have you to do your job better. You also need to manage your manager and how to better manage you. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes we might need to parent up. I guess sometimes with our parents because just to get them re-used to, because we are remapping our relationship. I'm not tenured no more. You're not telling me don't touch nothing because I'm not getting you nothing. No. You forgot who the fuck you raised. I'm grown as shit now. No, I need you to reevaluate how you interact with me respectfully. I know it hurt. I can hear it now. All the children, grown children, cringing, but on the inside, yeah, you kind of right. But ooh, how you said it, it's like, ooh, I just imagine an ass whooping coming right now.
Exactly.
That's okay.
That's a clip, y'all. When y'all see this on Instagram, I would never.
They can't beat your ass no more unless you let them. You know what I'm saying? It's assault now, so they can't do that no more. You can punch him in the throat back. I'm just saying. Mister. All right.
Question number 2.
We're going to keep going.
Emotions. Do you shut down? Am I going to have to drag information out of you? Do you lash out at people? Do you become too hard to be around? Do people have to escape you when you're angry? I've heard women admit that whenever they're upset, they can't even be in the same house as anybody else. That is a really big red flag. Third question.
So the question was, how do you handle your emotions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you handle your emotions? How do you communicate when you're angry? Mm-hmm. That falls. How do you handle conflict? Mm-hmm. That's definitely a very important question. And that's not also, I'm not sure that's anything that anyone will be 100% honest with or
aware of. I don't think so.
Yeah. Or aware of. So they'll give you their truth, but you're going to have to experience it in the moment for you to be like, yeah, okay. Mm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there was an old adage of don't marry someone or don't commit to someone until you've seen them angry, broke, I don't know, sick, sad, something like that. Some combination of various states. Because again, what they tell you is from their perspective of how they're behaving. And you have to know if you can deal with it. If you're able to, one, be supportive and an active participant in helping them calm down or whatever is going on. But also be able to know how you're going to respond to that. I think I just said the same thing twice. But basically to know how you're going to respond to that, because you don't want to be in a situation where when someone, especially the person that you love, gets angry, you can't handle it. You break down and you know what I'm saying? You're having a negative reaction to them being upset beyond just my reaction is always, I don't want anybody that I love to be upset or feel bad feelings. I just feel a little bit bad because I'm an empath. And afterwards I'm like, oh man, but never I can't handle this person being upset.
Additionally, I was going to say this question, while it is definitely a great question, how they describe, they could say, I communicate my feelings, you know, like, well, I'm pretty direct and something like, so like, it sounds great on paper, but like, what does it look like in practice? So it's like, so to them, they think they communicate perfectly, but like, once you're on the brunt end of it, they screaming in your face, la da 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 da, finger in the forehead, and that's direct. That's like getting her emotions out in the moment. She feels like she's communicating her feelings like correctly, and but like how they do it, what it looks like on the back end can be a little bit different. May not, you know, like theoretically that sounds cool, but how do you practice that?
Yeah,
how do you do that? Yeah,
good points. Points were made.
All right, let me go. I think
Number 3.
Question 3.
Are you petty? I've said this before. If she's the type that likes to return energy, that is a sign of inconsistent character. Leave her. That means that her respect, her desire, her compassion, even her infidelity may be just as inconsistent. Bro, all jokes aside, run. Because the very definition of petty is to care about small, unimportant things, and that may lead to her being unnecessarily unkind. You don't want her. So if she says how I treat you will be a reflection of how you treat me, wrap it up. Do not pass go. Do not collect on the cheeks. Do not do anything else but pay the tab and part ways. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Now, number 4, and this is very...
Okay. What you got to say, Petty LaBelle?
I'm petty, but like not about this type of shit. I'm petty about small, literally inconsequential things. I'm petty. I ain't gonna hold you, but I'm not like I'm not petty. Like, oh, I'm gonna cheat on you now, or like I'm gonna like ice you out now.
Yeah, I don't feel like you're petty in a let me get my lick back kind of way.
No.
But I do think your proud pettiness. Well, I can be kind of petty too.
We all
have petty in us. We all have this spirit of petty.
Manifests in different areas of our life.
Manifest in different areas. We're all petty to different levels, and pettiness really is just passive aggressiveness. So it's really a conversation about like, can you communicate and be direct, or do you feel like the best course of action when something that is unfavorable has happened to you is to retaliate, undermine, be passive aggressive? And we all have that to varying degrees, but in a relationship, do you recognize that like that's not the best course of action to go forward? Okay.
I saw that face. What was that?
What? That was me being petty.
The thing is, I was going to address it and be like more communicative, and I was like, I could activate petty and just be like moving on, and then I don't know, do something small and inconsequential but annoying later, like cut your mic off or some shit midstream.
Do you see what we're talking about?
But I ain't do it though. I'm just trying to see. Just because I have a pretty good control of my petty. You know what I mean? Like I think petty all the time. It's like constantly. My mom like, yo, I could do that. Then I'm like, no, I'm not, because I don't want to do that. I want to go a different route.
You want to go high?
I ain't gonna say high. I just want to go a different route.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be like kind of arrogant about saying, oh, when they go low, I go high. Like, fuck all that. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But if I was a different type of person.
Okay.
Yeah. You gotta have control of your petty. You can't just let it spray everywhere without care or control. Like you might hit yourself with that. No. You gotta be precise, like a scalpel. You gotta assess the appropriate time and the appropriate environment, the appropriate situation in which to use your petty. And within the relationship, on some serious shit like you talking about, that is not appropriate to be petty on. But on some jokey joke, some minor annoyance, pranky type shit, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead. This don't be crazy. Don't OD. You know what I'm saying? Don't.
You got to be able to joke with each other.
Yeah, you got to be able to joke.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Important. Have you been essayed? Gentlemen, if there's even the slightest chance of this becoming a sexual relationship, this needs to be addressed up front. If the answer is yes, has she been to therapy? Has she done the work to heal, or at least enough work to be able to identify the triggers? If she's able to identify the triggers, tell her that she has to name those triggers to you. What she says should be what your decision to leave or to stay is based on. And from the bottom of my heart, with all sincerity, there should be no exceptions. Now, number 5, almost just as important.
He had me into, well, two things.
I'm gonna say we understand what SA is, right?
Yes.
Okay.
One, I don't think if someone has had a traumatic experience such as a sexual assault, we can't say that.
SA.
SA.
Yeah, because
Trigger warning.
Yeah, no, but that and also like the algorithm and shit they don't be liking the R word, like rah says they don't like that. Or rah, they don't like the R word. That's that that goes
with grape.
Yeah, grape. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The first thing is, if someone has experienced that does not determine whether or not they are worthy of love. And I think that while that is not what he is saying directly or even implicitly, I do think that someone who has had that experience and is hearing this, might think,
yeah, that's all right.
Oh, thank you.
Still there. That's love.
Thank you. Someone who has had that experience and is hearing this might think like, oh, if I've had this experience, I'm automatically disqualified. Like, I couldn't control that happened to me. There's nothing that I could do about it, whatever. So that part of it, I don't agree with. The second part of it, tell you my triggers. Negro, I don't know you. I don't know you well enough to know whether or not you're going to weaponize that against me. I don't trust you enough to be able to tell you that. And especially if this is a conversation that we're having before we're committing, like, yes, I don't know. A part of me feels like it's okay for you to be curious and want to know that information, especially as it relates to how I'm going to engage with you sexually and how I'm going to engage with sex in general over the course of our relationship. Yes, that's fair to want to have that knowledge. But the finer details of it, I think, are sensitive enough that I wouldn't want to share that with anyone besides someone I was in a committed relationship with, because I don't know you or trust you well enough to know how you're going to be able to handle that information and support whatever it is that I'm feeling as it relates to that situation. So like, yes, can you know if it happened? Sure. Especially if we're going to plan to engage sexually. Can you know if I'm in therapy? Yes, sure. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Can you know my triggers? Not unless it's something that I'm trying to, like, I don't know. I guess it's like a part of me is like, okay, you don't want to be in a landfill and step on a landmine that you could have avoided if you knew about it. But also, if the first set of questions, do I know what they are and do I know how to respond to them? If I say yes, I know what they are and I know how to respond to them, that means when you do step on the landmine, I'll be able to navigate it. Like, and we should be able to have a conversation about it instead of me just like laundry listing out triggers for you.
Okay. On one hand, I definitely understand where you're coming from on that. But on the other hand, like on a purely like objective tip, I'm thinking like, if you can't tell me what what a trigger to like one of your triggers are, you're not ready to be in this committed relationship. Like that's where I'm coming from as a man. Because as a man, I will want to know if you're about to be in a serious relationship, which means that like it's gonna be me and you moving forward. I want to be able to know how to navigate you sexually. I need to know that information. Like what if I pull one of my moves that's like, this is what I do, I love doing this, and that's like the main trigger that shuts you down, and then we can't even talk about or discuss sex for 2 weeks over that because you still like now we're dealing with the flashbacks of that information. It reminds me of the story, or at least a small snippet I heard from what's that man, the one who was out here telling the woman that men ain't shit and like you got it, queen, but then he turns out he was cheating. Derek Jackson. He was on what's the podcast you like so much,
the Dear Future Wifey.
Dear Future Wifey podcast, and he was explaining that like I think he said like before he got with her, apparently she had just been SA like right before he got where she never told him that until they were in therapy, like couples therapy, like 5 years in, And then he found out like, yo, this is what it is. Cause like, and he said like one of his methods of like his sex language or whatever, it was like, he liked to be kind of a little bit aggressive. Like he'll pick you up, you like to pin you against the wall and do that, I guess, storybook sexual type stuff. But like she had been SA, but he didn't know that. But every time he did that, she was shut down completely. So he didn't know what was going on. She didn't talk about it. She didn't say nothing. So she didn't. So on that part, she didn't communicate after the fact. So, and what he's trying to say is, I agree with him in the sense of like, if a woman I'm considering seriously, we're about to be in a committed relationship, that is definitely need to know information from both sides. I'm not even saying this is not just a woman to man, but also man to woman as well. Like this is needed vital information, because like sex, because that undercuts, that not say undercuts, but that intertwines such a large part of who you are, and what like, that's part of your story. That's a big part of your story, being SA, and sex, especially when you're starting, and you know throughout your life, is very important, because like the language and the actions that's surrounding it, all of that intertwines, and that's information that we need to know, because like adjustments will need to be made because of that. Unfortunately. So like to his point of like, yeah, have you healed from it? Are you seeking therapy, effective therapy from it and stuff like that's definitely needed. And the triggers, I definitely think like if it's on some like if you got like fresh triggers, like of just like every time someone like touches my neck, that's information we need. Like we need this type of information. I hear where you're coming from about like I don't know, or like I'm not disclosing this type of information until we're already committed. But like you got to think about it from the other side. So it's like I'm committed, I'm locked in, and then I find out that like 80% of my sex game is I got to throw it out now because it's no longer usable, because like everything I want to do or what I say or what we speak about is triggering to you to the point where you turn into a different person. Then we can't have sex.
I hear that. And I also think that could be true if I hadn't had that experience. Maybe it's not a trigger. Maybe I just don't enjoy it. Like you could have things that you prefer to do sexually that I wouldn't enjoy even without that experience. And so we would have still had to learn each other, learn how to have sex with each other, learn how to communicate and what brings each other pleasure. So I guess I'm just saying that what would be more appropriate from my perspective, especially because you're not going to take I guess a couple of things. You're asking me this question to decide whether or not I qualify to be in a relationship with you. And so if in asking me that, if I say, yes, it's happened, but no, I'm not working on it, you're walking away anyway. If I say, yes, it's happened, yes, I'm working on it, these are my triggers, are you now going to start to take ownership and work with me to help me address these triggers? Or you just want, okay, I'm glad it's good to know information. Or like, what role do you now plan to take now that you have this information, I guess is a part of my concern. Because there's a part of me that thinks, I can't tell you this information because I don't trust you. I don't know how you're going to use it. And a part of the reason that I have that feeling is because you're just asking me be able to make a decision about whether or not you want to be in a relationship with me. Now, you say, yes, you want to be in a relationship with me. Now, what role would you like to play with this information? How are we collaborating or working together to address this thing that is a big issue for me? Because even if this wasn't the issue, there are going to be other issues in any partner that you decide to be in a relationship with. And are you saying that this issue is one issue that you're totally welcome to, like you're unopen to, and you wouldn't want to be with anyone who had that experience because you don't want to address it? Or are you saying that I'm not the type of partner who is willing to work with someone through their traumas and triggers, have an understanding of those things, accept a person for where they're at, and be willing to love them and see them grow into someone else? And I think that is a distinction that I have the biggest problem with, because whoever you decide to be in a relationship with is going to have traumas and triggers. And there are a lot of things when you walk into a relationship with someone that are triggers for them that they are unaware of. So are we saying this one thing you have to not only, if it has happened, you have to know what it is, be able to laundry list them out, share them with me, and then I still am like absolved of any responsibility, or I guess not even responsibility, just like taking ownership and helping you work through them? Or are we saying that, okay, you tell me all this stuff, I'm making an informed decision and I decide to work with you, work through them?
That's that part. So he's asking, so like you have the knowledge of like, okay, based on what you told me, is this something that you want to work with, or is it something that you don't and you walk away? So like if it's like, okay, you tell me you're working through it, these are the triggers. Okay, cool. Okay, we can work through that. I'm still rocking with you, and now I'm taking ownership. I'm working with you. We're in this together. Or you tell me, oh, I'm not. I got essayed and I'm not working with it. And I don't know any of my triggers. I'm like, that's kind of telling to me a little bit on the low. So it's like this traumatic thing happened to you. You're aware that a traumatic thing happened to you during a very essay is very traumatic.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, what is, but I definitely can see that. I know that it is a very traumatic thing. So it's like, this is a traumatic thing. And you know that it is during in a section of your life that is very, it's not like a minor thing in your life. Like sex is pervading. Like it's going to come up. Mm-hmm. It's going to pop up. Every relationship you're going to get it. It's going to come up, and you're not seeking to address that. That worries me. That is a red flag to me. That you aren't seeking to heal this trauma that is going to have far-reaching effects beyond just you. It's going to affect your ability to pair with anybody up. So why wouldn't you want to do this? I understand like it's traumatic and you can't rush the process, but it's like, I can't imagine that your relationships have been great or will be great if this is continues to be unaddressed in some way. Whatever you choose, however you do. I'm not saying you need to go to therapy or like you need to go to a therapist or whatever. Like that has been unaddressed. So I think that part is worrying. And as a man, I was like, I don't know if I want to. So technically, you're saying everything is still fresh. Every time you're triggered, it's going to be like it just happened all over again, and it's like because you haven't done any work to try to dismantle that, whatever that is. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I'm interested in doing that. But if you're working with it, you're aware and you're trying to you're doing what you need to do, or have done what you needed to, and you've reached a point where, because I know there's. Unfortunately, a lot of women have been essayed in one way or another growing up, and they are able to live satisfactory lives and have like great relationships and stuff like that. Like great, like no worries, no concerns, like there. But it is like the ones who can't because they won't do what they need to do to move, like address it, to heal from it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And a part of what is a limit from your perspective is the idea that the response to the trigger is the response to the trigger makes the event like fresh. Like the only response that a person can have is to be flooded with emotion. And I think that might be a fault or a limit just there. That's not the only response that a person can have, especially if they've lived with it. They may suppress, they may shut down, like how old boy was talking about his wife or ex-wife. They may have developed some coping mechanism where they can, like, you know what I'm saying? I guess a part of what
Associate?
Yes. I'm not saying that any of these things are the right response or helpful responses, but I think in saying that the responses for someone to be flooded with emotion and that being a reason that you're not willing to engage is a limit. So I'm just trying to broaden the scope for what the emotional responses might be.
Okay.
In addition to that, I think that we both agree that sharing that information is important. The place where we disagree is the laundry list of triggers. And that's the only place where I feel like we disagree. And it's not that it doesn't happen. It's just a question of when it happens and like how, when it happens, relates to, again, how much ownership you're taking over helping me work through this. If we're on a date and you're asking me, you ain't got no skin in the game, and from my perspective. So I'm not going to tell you something like this that is very vulnerable. We talk all the time about like how people struggle to be vulnerable. I'm not going to tell, I can tell you that it happened.
Right.
I've healed enough to tell you that it happened. I'm also healed enough to tell you that I'm working on it. I'm not listing my triggers for you. We don't know each other that way. And I also think, to your point of it happens to both genders, let me not say there isn't a man alive, but I was finna go there. I think that there are very few men who have experienced that who would be able to respond in the way that this man is asking for a woman to respond. And I think that there's some inequality in that. There are very few men who have had some type of SA who would walk into a dinner date and then a woman asks, okay, has this happened to you? Yes. What are your triggers? I know what they are. Are you working on it? Yes, I am.
Try it. I mean, I don't think you're incorrect in that. But okay, I'm not going to butt it. I'm saying you're correct in what you're saying. Like, men will not be as forthcoming about that, mostly because they've been probably suppressed or whatever the reason. Additionally to that, I would say that in general, I just think that awareness that men do get SA needs to be brought more to the forefront. So I think a lot of it is, or a good percentage of it is like, there probably hasn't been many men who have been asked if you have been SA, mostly because right now no one gives a fuck. So I would say, so like, if more people are asked, I'm sure we may get, got to bring that stuff up. And yeah, that's pretty much all I was saying. I was like, yeah, like, guys definitely get SAs way more than we think. Yeah. And the response to that knowledge right now is kind of very disrespectful to men, and making it so like it's not something that we are allowed to use as an excuse. Like, we can't fail in a sexual encounter. So to say, I'm using the word fail because that's just the first word that came to my mind, easiest word that came to my mind, and then be like, yeah, I was SA'd. Like, that is not something that men feel is an acceptable reason currently, mostly because how society views SA on men. Is just like, it's not something that, that you ain't like it, you must be gay. There's a lot of that type of talk going on about that. So I would say that on the men's side, yeah, but we need to bring more. You're right. We also need to bring more awareness that men do get SA'd, and that they are probably definitely suffering in silence and difficult relationships. And yeah, agree. Yeah. Absolutely agree. So to your point about, I can tell you if it happened, I can tell you I'm working on it, but I'm not telling you what my triggers are right now. Agree. Like, I could definitely agree with that, with the caveat that you are able to communicate if and when that trigger is triggered, that you are able to adequately communicate that. Additionally, I'm like, I guess you can kind of reframe the question and being like, yo, what are your do's and don'ts in bed? And then you can, and then a lot of your don'ts can be whatever your triggers are. And that's, I guess, true. if you label it that, maybe we will have a little bit more comfortability, discussing it if it's framed and just, this is just not something I like right now. And then as you go on, you can be like, okay, well, the reason I don't like this thing is because because a lot of people don't have any issues before you even meet for the first day, telling you what I like and don't like during sex. It's like a lot of people ask that off the top. So like, and that, that's that information that people feel like, oh, I don't know you. Why would I tell you what I like in bed? But it's like, okay, then just whatever your triggers are, like put that under what you don't like.
That's smart.
And then it's call it a day. And there's a quick tip for y'all.
It's a good reframe. Yeah. Some red light, green light, yellow light.
There we go.
Like what's okay, what's definitely not okay, and what's maybe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good job, babe.
Thank you.
Last question.
All right. I think this is number 5 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. What does family planning look like to her? Is she on birth control? Is she pro-life, pro-choice? Does she plan on having children anytime soon? Also, state your status on becoming a father right then and there. If you do not see yourself being capable of being there for a child if that situation does arise, say that. Seriously, discuss a plan of action before you ever get to the point where pregnancy happens. Now for some bonus information. If she's fresh out of a relationship, don't do that. You do not want to be the rebound guy. It never ends well. Just don't do it. Beware of any form of the phrase, "you're not my usual type." That means she has zero experience with a guy like you, and you're more than likely going to be the experiment. Don't do it. If she's celibate and you're not, let that woman stay single. And last but not least, please take this with you. If she ain't nasty, you don't want her. I hope I helped.
that last one was a little comedy thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the family planning one, that's definitely important. That's very, 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 very important. I'm trying to channel my dad. Yeah, so it's very, very important to know that information about not only if you want children, how many.
That can change, but yes,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Your desire to have mad kids will change. I feel like as soon as you have your first one. Once you have a kid, you're like, oh,
people never
this
go
is
up.
not what I thought.
People's number never go. People's number rarely go up when it comes to like the children questions. Like, yeah, you want kids? Okay, I want 2. Okay, it rarely gets like, got 2. Okay, let's have 2 more. Let's have another one. Now, it's usually like, you had 1. All right, we're good right now. 1 in a possible. Yeah, or I want 8 kids. And what best case scenario for you is they don't want 8 no more. They want 6, or they want 5 or 4. Yeah, so the birth control also very, very important. Very important. Definitely know that before you shooting up clubs and things of that nature. Are they opposed to popping a plan B if for some reason condom slip and things of that nature? Will they not say respect, but like what they take into consideration that you don't want to be a father and not have a kid if you accidentally get pregnant? Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the things that guys definitely need to consider when taking women seriously.
Yeah,
or the birth control one. That's any kind of sexual encounter with a woman. Period. Need to know that information. What was his bonus? Oh, do you have any thoughts about it?
My thoughts are, I'm hungry. Let's wrap this up, sweetie.
You're right. So, I am too. Now that you said it. Now that you said it. But I think this was a very good clip. It was like a 2-minute clip, but we talked for like 40 minutes about each one of them. We teased a lot of stuff out. I think I might want to try to find a little bit more long form stuff like this, so we can kind of like break it down, pause, stop. I don't know how I'm going to have the video showing, pause it and going. I was thinking that. So I don't know. So this might just have to be an audio only. It's like, sorry, I'll link the person. I'll put the link of this video in it or something like that, and y'all can click and watch it if y'all want to later on. I think that's it. You know what I'm saying? This was a good episode. I think we had a pretty good conversation. It was fun. I forgot the camera was here a few times. That being said, I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all day or evening. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Buffet Podcast. And go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button on your way out if you haven't already. Please and thank you. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
On the flippity flip.